The season is only 3 races old, but the FIA has already had to issue starting place penalties for too many engine parts. Not only Ferrari has problems, even with the otherwise so bulletproof Mercedes engines, one had to complain about a major engine failure. Manufacturers are alarmed as the engines seem to be blowing up easily. Are Mercedes in for a season full of engine problems? If so, it will be a long season for Mercedes. George Russell's car will get a new power unit during the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. The Mercedes driver will not face a grid penalty because of the adjustment, but there are still questions about the dependability of their engine. Russell's Australian Grand Prix ended abruptly and spectacularly. Flames erupted from his Mercedes on lap 18, forcing the Briton to retire early following a good start. Mercedes' first mechanical failure of the season. Brixworth specialists have found a brake that caused the English rider to DNF at the Australian Grand Prix. George in Baku will almost probably have a new internal combustion engine, but it is unclear if he will also install a new hybrid system. The Mercedes engineers have not yet established the reason of the withdrawal, and there is considerable anxiety about the 6-cylinder's dependability. The engine that pushed George Russell out of the Australian Grand Prix will be changed. According to the investigations ongoing at Mercedes headquarters in Brixworth, there was a cylinder that failed, although the cause of the incident has yet to be determined. Russell will utilize the second power unit throughout the Baku weekend, so he will not face penalties, but there are some dependability issues. Among the Mercedes-powered units, which emerged in 2022 as the most dependable power unit, Lando Norris's PU failed in Bahrain due to a pneumatic valve fault. A different issue from the one alleged by Russell, which caused McLaren to deploy a nearly new power unit, ICE MGUK MGUH-TC, at the next round in Jeddah. In Russell's situation, it is unclear if the whole power unit will need to be replaced. The start of the season proved more difficult than anticipated for engine manufacturers, who were dealing with challenges of a new and unexpected character due to no revisions to the projects that were locked at the beginning of 2022. Do you think Mercedes will endure more engine problems during the season? Have they cranked it up too much, so far that it now seems to explode from within? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. For now, Mercedes seem to be in the clear, but the engine seems to be one of their last problems, as Mercedes are still struggling with their car concept, with the infamous zero-pod design. This is because last year's Brazilian Grand Prix seemed to be the light at the end of the tunnel for the Mercedes Formula One team, but it seems to have produced a perfect storm that the team is still suffering from. Mercedes' severe 2022 porpoising problems have been well reported, with the team unable to drive the W14 as low as it desired to extract maximum performance. However, the Brackley team's fortunes altered in the second part of the season as Lewis Hamilton and George Russell became more competitive. Undoubtedly, the two earned a fair number of podiums, but they were often aided by mechanical concerns with one of the Ferraris. In Mexico, though, Russell and Hamilton outqualified Sergio Perez and both Ferraris, indicating that Mercedes was beginning to right the ship, and a victory for Russell in Sao Paulo, a 1-2 ahead of Hamilton, looked to demonstrate that the team's unusual strategy was working. According to team director Toto Wolff, the late surge in form created a perfect storm that prompted the team to stick to its guns for 2023 and continue with a W14 car based on a similar idea. It wasn't until this season's opening in Bahrain, when Mercedes learned it had lost ground to Red Bull rather than catching up, that it should have followed through on altering course, a swap that is now in the works for Imola instead. In an interview, Wolff described Russell's victory in Brazil as a perfect storm. It got better and better and better. We were competitive in the American races. We won in Interlagos. We knew that Abu Dhabi, where Mercedes struggled, is a bit different. That was the perfect storm for us. It wasn't good for 2023. We thought we were on the right track and the concept works, but it didn't. Last year was tough because we didn't understand. It came as such a surprise that we put the car in a zone where it wasn't generating any performance. In any case, not performance that we thought it was important. And this year, the second year into the regulations, there's a lot of evidence about what went wrong. With Brazil's false dawn in mind, Mercedes hasn't been seduced by some of its better 2023 performances, including as Hamilton's second-place finish in Australia. instead doubling down on planned vehicle improvements. It is also tasked with developing a car configuration that Hamilton is more at ease with, since the 7-time world champion has struggled to find his rhythm owing to certain aspects of the W14. While Red Bull seems to be racing away with the championship quicker than in 2022, Wolff says he doesn't want to stop aiming for the stars, with the intermediate goal of fighting off Ferrari and 2023 surprise package Aston Martin. I don't want to change the targets yet about fighting for a world championship, even though it doesn't look realistic, he explained. But I want to keep the motivation high to do the best possible job, and we're bringing quite some steps, a change of car layout from Imola onwards, and we must see how that performs. There is one team that's well ahead of everybody else, and then there are 3 teams with Ferrari, Aston Martin and us that are competing for the rest. And I think we need to beat these 2 guys before you can dream about coming back, before you can aim to win a championship. So this is like a 2-way objective. The budget cap in Formula 1 is not benefiting teams that are forced to make drastic adjustments, but Wolff recognized that this is what we wanted, and that Aston Martin has shown that significant improvement can be done. This is what we wanted. We wanted to have a more financially sustainable future. We wanted to have 10 teams that are capable of racing well with the aerodynamic testing restrictions that are advantageous for the ones that are in the back. All of that is to create a very competitive field. Where we are today, we just need to acknowledge that one team has done a better job than all the others. Then Aston Martin is the next team you need to acknowledge, because they've just made a huge giant step forward, and it's just down to good work. There's no magic, and there's not one item on a car that makes it mysteriously fast. It's just solid engineering and all the areas being put together. So I think we need to aim for the stars. Even though there is no magic fix, the W14 fans were delighted to see an old face back on the grid recently, this being technical chief James Allison. James Allison had been key for Mercedes in their winning years, so fans were more than happy to see him back. Many fans thought James Allison would be brought in again to help Mercedes get back to the top, but unfortunately this hasn't been the case. And Mercedes F1 head Toto Wolff has denied reports again that technical chief James Allison had returned to a more active car design position to address the team's chronic ground effect issues. Following the underwhelming debut of the restricted W14 machine, the successor of the porpoising 2022 car, there was conjecture that Allison had returned to a more hands-on position at Brackley. After 4 years at the leadership of Mercedes' design department, the former Lotus and Ferrari technical boss stepped down from daily duties to take on the more overall job of chief technical officer. Allison's new job allows him to devote more time to other endeavors, such as team co-owner Ineos's participation in the America's Cup sailing competition. Wolff has stressed that this arrangement has not altered in light of the recent slump of the 8-time Constructors' Champion. When asked whether Allison was actively engaged in updating the W14, Wolff said, "No, he's not really involved. He's involved in the long-term strategy of the team, but he's doing more activities like America's Cup." When asked whether the team was inclined to send Allison in to help his replacement, Mike Elliott, Wolff said, "It's not always one person in an organization, but you need to find the right people for the right roles. Sometimes it can mean that you're super competent in one area, but maybe not overall. James, for sure, as a technical director in the past, has a big record and is a people's person. He's somebody that is still very important for the organization. Throughout its championship-winning run, Mercedes' technical crew has seen consistent churn. Notably, Allison's predecessor, Paddy Lowe, resigned to become CEO of Williams, while former chief aerodynamicist Eric Blandin joined Aston Martin in 2021. Similarly, Aldo Costa, Mercedes' engineering director, later a team advisor, left in early 2020 to lead the technical department of racing car manufacturer Dallara. When asked about the challenges of replacing these figures, Wolff said, "People like Aldo you can never replace, but you need to find within a structure. You divide the job on a few others." Aldo was very good in structuring his succession also. It's not something that happened from one day to the other. We've had basically 2.5 years of advanced warning that he would go. He shaped the department in his sense. What do you think? Will Mercedes be able to fix their issues with the W14? Are they going to get back to the front of the grid? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.